What's up, guys? Back at it again. Another hot day here at the ranch. Had to feed some animals. Cows are up there relaxing. They're good and full. Then I have my donkeys over here, my mini donkeys that never separate from each other. You see one, you see the other one. Just want to bring you guys attention that, I don't know how far in depth I can go with this, but our food supply is under major attack. And what used to be what we call real beef back in the day is pretty much no longer. It's time to prepare and get yourself self-sustained. I'm a 50-50 guy. I still live off of the system a little bit, but pretty much all of my vegetables and meat comes from out here. I do go to the grocery store just for a few little items here and there, but I'm not grocery store dependent. I even get my water from out here from my well and fill up my 5-gallon glass containers from my water machine at the house. So it gets purified actually twice. If you have children, I think you guys need to start educating your kids about survival. And this is not for you to start, it's not fear mongering, but it's just facts. You need to teach your kids basic camping skills, basic survival skills, how to grow, how to do basic medical. These are things that today's children don't know about, and it's good to educate your kids about, how they can take care of themselves if something hits the fan. Back to our food supply is under attack. I've deep dived a little bit into what they call the 3D printed meat. That's something I don't want. That's not something I want in my system. Why are you creating fake meat? So in one of my other previous videos, I was talking about how a lot of these kids are not returning back to ranching. They go off to college, they don't want to come back. They move to the bigger cities, which will probably end up being 15-minute cities in the future. If you don't know what 15-minute cities are, go look up what 15-minute cities are. And the parents and grandparents are getting older and they can't work the land. So the kids are either taking their trust money, selling off it to developers, as I've stated before in the previous video, taking the money and run. So that is one of the major factors of our beef supply is shrinking. It's not population of people eating beef, because people are born every day and people die every day. It's a fair balanced system. Is that these kids aren't coming back. And in some cases, developers show up with millions of dollars cash, and a person may say, hey, well, I'm going to go out here and break my back and work cattle. I can walk away with $30-40 million. I get it. I understand it. It would probably be a tough choice of selling your family legacy, but who's not going to think about taking on a few $1 million? I would. So this is causing a major shortage in the cattle industry. And just like I've said this before, and I keep repeating myself in previous videos, it's time to get into the cattle business. And I was reading some reports last night, and I'll be happy to post them at a later date. And these were some real reports. And the reports stated that in the next 3 to 5 years, middle class will not be able to afford beef. That's something to think about. That's if we really even have a middle class anymore. But beef will only be for the elite. Think about that. Let that soak in for a second. Only the wealthy will be able to afford real beef. So what do they classify us as? So is it going to be rich and poor only? And we eat the artificial 3D printed meat. Everything is going to be lab grown. And the rich get to eat the tasty choice stuff. And I also read that they're going to reduce cattle ranches to a certain amount of herds, and either forcing you to sell to the elite or making it so hard for you to get meat into the markets and process until you go broke and they take your land from you. Like I said, this is not fear mongering. I'm not trying to make anybody afraid or anybody scared. It's just that you got to pay attention to the signs of the times. I looked at things like Neuralink, didn't even really know what that was until yesterday. They were actually putting chips in people's brains. We are living in those times. And I don't mean to infringe on anybody's religion at all, but the book of Revelations is starting to unfold. The truths and the seals are starting to be broken. I'm not a religious guy, but I do read. I do read scripture. And there's a lot of things that I've read that line up to the events that I've seen in my life. Now's the time, or it was a year ago, to prepare. It's time to prepare. You might even take classes on how to beekeep and how to process your own meats. As I said, I'm a 50-50 guy. I live in the city, but I make my money in the country. Eventually, this is going to be a lifestyle that I'm going to do full time. I still have some strings to tie up. I mean, I have a home in South Beach down in Miami. For those you may not know, I live on a 65-foot houseboat. So it's going to be tough walking away from the ocean view, but it's not going to be so tough when you think about it, of the way things are changing. And if something hits the fan, what are you going to run? Are you prepped? Are you prepared? Do you have backup water for the next 3 months, 6 months? And I get so tired of watching these videos or seeing people post, you just need 3 weeks worth of water. Don't you think that those people know that the message is 3 weeks of water, so they take you 5, 6, 8, 10 weeks out? What's going to happen? You're going to do whatever it takes. You're going to beg for water. There are systems out there that can, atmospheric machines that can actually pull water out of the atmosphere. So I encourage you guys to look at a few things. And being a guy who lives in the city, yeah, it's comfortable. There's all the resources that are there. But at the end of the day, out here, I create my resources. So in the event something does happen, I'm ready. Just basic things like basic medical. Teach your kids these things. I'm prepared, but I always double check myself to make sure I am as prepared as I need to be. And sometimes I overdo it. I'm an overshooter, overthinker. But by the same token, you never know, you may have to help somebody else. And that's another thing too. If desperate measures in desperate times, people will do the unthinkable to take from you. People will do things that you wouldn't imagine to hunt you and seek you and take what you have. So there's everything from self-defense, or basically just having good street smarts and good wits. It's time to educate your family, educate your kids on the signs of the times and things to come. So that'll conclude my video for the day. Be safe out there. Think about the things that I said, please. And if you have questions or if you want to make a comment, leave it in the comment section. I love to see comments. So leave it in the comment section. Thanks again.